that the truck is in EMPD pound. There is another charge now, which is the theft out of motor vehicle. Some parts of the truck on its own, some part were stolen. The owner has to go and buy parts of the truck to put it in order for the truck to be able to be drivable again.
Even diesel, as I read this.
There is a
900
part,
liters.
diesel also, but there are parts of the truck. There are parts of the truck that were stolen there. So it's theft out of motor vehicle, not theft of the truck, because that one they tried to make a U-turn, because theft, it will be to deprive the lawful owner of his property permanently. So here they can come and say, we didn't want to deprive him permanently. We booked the truck in the pound. So in terms of that, I'll look at that area of that charge of theft out of motor vehicle. We have another challenge. I have another challenge in terms of the charges. Their aim, the intention of the officers was not about the truck. It was about the property that was inside the truck. The property worth more than 1 million rand. That property that was stolen there, it was not recovered. They allege that they gave the lawful owner somewhere. The importance of the witness which hired the truck owner to transport these goods. That statement is very, very important in that aspect.
I'll take you back to your answer, I think, to my last question. How soon do you intend to use the means that you referred to? You said you do have other lawful means to obtain the outstanding statement. By when will you do that?
In the next 4 weeks.
Why that long?
I will be revealing that strategy.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Magagula, this is a follow-up on Commissioner Khumalo, but slightly different. You have listed certain shortcomings. For example, the use of the SAP 299 document. You say they should not have, it's a wrong document to have used, but also it should not be in their possession because it's not an EMPD document.
Yes.
That's one. Just keep note of this list. You've got that. And then there is the release of the goods according to stalls. The goods were released to an owner, but there's no record of who that person is. It just says the owner. You say that there was no case opened for impounding the truck and trailer. You also say there was no location, no specified location where the goods were released. And then I want to add to that list that there is no record, a record of the goods being released. We've got a statement saying the goods being impounded and then released, which I expect would happen if the police come into possession of any matter. They would record it properly. This is what they received, and then this is what they released and who they released it to. But that list of things that were not done and which you record in your statement seem to me not to, for them to be to be provable or to constitute charges for disciplinary purposes and to be proved as misconduct does not depend on a complainant's statement. It's a matter that you have on record, and employees could be charged on that without even having a complainant present.
Yes.
A complainant as in the owner of the truck and the owner of the goods. Having said that, it seems to me then that the IPD should be able, or should have been able, and should still be able, to make a recommendation to the EMPD to discipline on just these issues. Why has that not happened? Why have you not drawn conclusions on these lines that there's been an infraction of this and that and that and that shortcomings on Stolz's own statement? Here are the shortcomings or matters that are disciplinable, and we make a negative recommendation that she and Mackenzie be disciplined. Why has that not happened? And why can that not happen?
This question, the SC has canvassed it. We spoke about it a lot of times. The standard operating procedure of IPID doesn't allow us to make a recommendation without the completion of the case. So when we make recommendation, is when the investigating officer says that everything is here in the docket, and you compile your report to DPP and the stakeholder, which will be EMPD or SAPS. So we do these reports when we finalize the matter, because the system, you must feed this recommendation to IPD system, electronic system, and it is signed by the provincial head that you have finalized the matter. So even when the auditors comes, they will say, in this matter, everything was done, and it was done on this date. So when you see our PDMs, after we have done our memorandum to DPP and SAPS, DPP might not be satisfied. The office was convinced that the matter is completed, but the DPP can say, no, Magagula, you have not yet finalized the matter. Go and do 1, 2, 3, 4. But already on our system, it will be finalized because we're convinced that everything was done. So I do not know if I answer your question. The predicament, even now when I live here, is because I can do the recommendation, but will my boss sign it because the standard operating procedure says that you must do recommendation when the matter is finalized?
Yeah. I've not seen the prescript that you are referring to, but depending on the language, as presently advised, I feel that IPD is unduly constraining itself in this sense. If this is about the completion of investigations, I do not understand why you should tie EMPD investigations to investigations intended for the criminal process. If on what you have done, you are of the view that enough is now in existence for purposes of pursuing a disciplinary process, why can't you say investigations are now complete insofar as the disciplinary process is concerned? And then you are able to fill in that electronic document, and you are able to convince your superior to sign off on that. Are you perhaps not unduly constraining yourselves? Are you perhaps not doing the prescript you are referring to wrongly?
Yeah, I agree with you, Commissioner, that as soon as we establish that there is a prima facie case, we should make
That is exactly my point.
Yeah.
Practically, you may easily establish that there is a prima facie case for purposes of the disciplinary process.
Yes.
Which means that with regard to that process, the investigation is complete. So why can't you close that off, seek your superior's signature, and fill in that form? And where it says, is the investigation complete? You say yes. Why can't you do that? Sitting here now, I don't understand why not, unless you explain it.
And maybe to add to that if it's quite conceivable that you may, I know you have just said to us that you have means of getting these witnesses, additional witnesses that have disappeared, but it's conceivable that you never ever find them. And the way you describe your standard operating procedure and your reasons for not having recommended yet disciplinary action to the EMPD, that could be the end of this case, because you never get those witnesses. And so you have officers where there's a prima facie case against them, which gets proven on a balance of probabilities, and in respect of whom your witness statements are irrelevant, right, for reasons that I've earlier discussed with you, but they actually walk scot-free because your standard operating procedure says until you've bedded everything together and you have a docket that goes to that's approved by the DPP, you may not recommend to the EMPD to institute disciplinary proceedings. Something is seriously wrong if that is what your standard operating procedure says or requires of you.
I agree.
But bear in mind that I say you may well be misreading that standard operating procedure. So do you want to comment on all this? I'm sure you still remember everything I said, and you remember what my co-commissioner, Commissioner Baloyi, has. What may have to be proved for purposes